Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy helping men transform sex, porn, tech, and work addiction into strength since 2012. No other than Mr. Craig Perra.
Thank you. Glad to be
Well,
here, Daniel.
welcome on Book 101, Mr. Craig. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Sure. Thank you, Daniel. So, my name's Craig Perra, and my wife and I founded the Mindful Habits System. The 15 years ago, when I got fired from my second job, I was keeping secrets from my wife, gaslighting my wife, lying about sex and porn and affairs, and just was an absolute mess. And I had a nervous breakdown. I tried to hurt myself. And this was after, years and years of therapy. Daniel, I found myself at this lowest point in my life. I had moved cross country for a job. I'm now fired. I'm an attorney, and I'm in a new state, so I can't practice law in this new state. It was so hopeless and bleak. And I had this crazy idea that I could help people with this problem, leveraging my leadership experience, my training experience. I learned about myself. I'm like, I need skills, I need tools. I don't need to just talk about my feelings. I needed more than that, and I couldn't find it. So I built it, and we've been helping thousands of clients over the past 13 years, guys from 30 countries, and it has been the greatest honor of my life to help people at their lowest point.
Mr. Craig Perra, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
You're welcome.
Yes, so let's talk about beyond the understanding of root causes of addiction. Tell us, beyond the surface behavior, what are the core emotional needs or voids like need to escape control or connection that sex, porn, and work addiction are often trying to fill for men?
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. It's a great question. Um, so the behavior, we start with the behavior is always the symptom. It's always the symptom of deeper underlying issues. In the 13 years that I've been helping people and struggling with this since I was 8 years old, the deeper underlying issues are low self esteem, poor self control, shame, trauma. This is a condition that thrives in secret. Right? This isn't healthy sexuality. For anybody listening, this isn't a connecting, having fun, joy, pleasure. This isn't that. This is when it becomes shameful. And it is one of the most powerful forces in the human body, and it helps us numb, cope, and escape tremendously. It's too effective. It's too good at what it does because that drive, that urge, that pull is so deep and wired into us as men. It's such a powerful force, and it's out of control for a lot of guys because of technology, because of their struggles, because of their all the challenges that they're having. This is a major problem. I hypothesized, Daniel, impacting most men in some capacity.
How does modern technology and the constant availability of dopamine hits fundamentally change the landscape of addiction for men compared to previous generations?
Oh gosh, the man of previous generations saw, if he was lucky, maybe two naked bodies. Maybe he had a childhood romance, a young adult romance, and then who he married, right? Like two. Now it's 2000 before breakfast, and not only is it 2000, Daniel, the way to interact with that content is evolving at such an alarming and dangerous rate. Just to give you a perspective, the AI girlfriend market is expected to grow, which it is today, $3.4 billion to
Wow.
$28 billion by 2028. Think of the growth by it's 36 year over year returns. So now you've got um, bots that look like the women, that talk like women, or whatever the person's choosing to look at, man or a woman, whatever it is, and they're gonna soon have personalities. They're gonna be tell you everything you want to hear. So you think like OnlyFans and social media and AI is dramatically changing not just the volume of the content that everyone is consuming, the way people interact with that content, and it is in a much more nefarious, addictive way today than it was for generations ago, because the God's honest truth, Daniel, is that most people aren't wired for this. You have to start from that premise. We're not wired for this. We need help.
Truly, we need help. In your experience, Mr. Craig, what is the most common misconception men have about their own addictive behaviors when they first seek help?
Yeah, the most common mistake or misconception that people have is that they have a sex or a porn problem. And again, echoing back to what we talked about earlier, is that sex is so scary. It's so taboo. It's the only thing that like everyone has done in order for us to be here and exist, but it's not well funded from a medical perspective, unless it can, the medication that can make boners. It's poorly understood. We know so little about it, but it's scary. And so it's so easy to frame this problem through the sex addiction lens or the porn addiction lens, which leads people to believe that they have a sex or porn problem. They do not have a sex or porn problem. They may have a sex problem. There may be in as likely intimacy issues around a free expression of their sexuality, but it is the deeper underlying issues, like we talked about earlier: the shame, the lying, the low, low self-esteem, poor self-control, that are the symptoms. So the most common misconception is that they have a sex or a porn problem.
Mr. Craig, let's talk about the process of transformation. Can you walk us through a pivotal moment of clarity you have witnessed where a man realized his calming mechanism had become a cage and what sparked the shift?
Yeah. It's interesting, Daniel, because what often forces men into getting help, right? If it is their entry point into self-help, personal growth, personal development, starts with a partner often saying, "You're out of control. Like this isn't right. This doesn't feel right to me. I don't know if this is natural. I know that the porn is getting all the energy and attention. I'm not getting any of that attention. I don't like that. You get help." So that partner putting their foot down and saying, "You got a problem and fix it," is what drives them to get help. And a lot of men start this journey wanting to help their partner. The shift, Daniel, is when you shine the light of day around the behaviors that exist in the shadows. They don't see a proud sexual being channeling, directing, nurturing, respecting this powerful force. They see shame. They see secrets. They see hiding, and for so many of them, they realized that the reason they've been able to keep these secrets, the reason why they have the capacity to lie like they do is because of shame. And when they realize that, now they've got a glimpse at the deeper issues underneath the surface. And then we get to explore where that shame came from. So that moment where they realize that I haven't shared this existed, this secret behavior lived in the shadow because I have shame around my sexual expression and shame and how bad I'd feel about myself if someone knew this. So I kept it a secret. And you peel back the layers of those secrets, you have the deep wound of shame. And that's the pivot point for a lot of guys.
Mr. Craig, the word addiction can feel shaming. How do you refrain the journey from one quitting a bad habit to one building a masculine strength and integrity?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Daniel, because first I'll start with different people respond to different things. For some people, the addiction lens can be empowering. They feel good about themselves. But for others, that addiction, that addict, that statement that men are required or encouraged to make in 12-step communities. Hi, I'm Craig. I am a sex addict. Well, that designation, that declaration, and a lot of people don't realize this, Daniel, is highly controversial. So, the treatment model that most are using to treat this problem, sex addiction and porn addiction, is highly controversial for exactly the reason you just suggested. Because do we want to, one, frame this problem through that very narrow lens? And number two, we don't want to lead people to think that sobriety is the solution because it's not. How can we build a pathway towards what is healthy? And that's what we teach our clients at the Mindful Habit. The goal is not sobriety, Daniel. I think the sex addiction lens, quite frankly, is for many men the wrong lens to be uh, to be their long-term solution to this problem, because the solution to this problem, in my 13 years experience working with some of the most successful men on the planet, literally, is that um, um, the goal must be healthy sexuality and a great life. It must be those two things because they are so inexorably intertwined, and this is such a powerful force. So that's my answer to your very thoughtful question.
Very well said, Mr. Craig. Beautifully, beautifully articulated. How do you help men navigate the grief or identity crisis that can come with the letting go of a long-standing addictive behavior that once felt like a core part of them?
Yeah, it's such a we at the Mindful Habit, Daniel, do what's called parts work. And parts work is reflective in popular culture in the Pixar movie Inside Out, the teenage girl with the different emotional characters in her head. That movie was based on the modular mind framework, which supports this internal family systems model. Just some terms that your listeners can Google if they want to learn more about it. And essentially, the model recognizes that we have these different parts in us, and sometimes those parts are in conflict. So let's take the addict part. And we talked about how that is often the entry point for men is someone else said I'm addicted, or I come to the conclusion that I'm addicted, and I have to do something about it. And so the the journey, so it starts there. And when the client begins to explore this addict part, this part that keeps secrets, that lies, that is has an incredible ability to compartmentalize, that awakens when there's stress, anxiety, and fear. And wait a minute, how long has it been doing this job? Let's we got to go back to childhood. And that's where guys get to leverage the therapy that they've done, because they've done a lot of that work already by the time they get to me, at least some of them, and they understand how that part was trained. Like, there's reasons why when the wife asks the question, "Hey, did you do anything today?" Nope. There's reasons why that shame started so young. So the parts where it gives us the container, one, for that family of origin where there's always shame, um, many times trauma. It gives you the container for the childhood stuff, and it also gives you a framework for leadership, in that the self, the center, the core, I'm going to lead this part that wants to numb, cope, and escape so badly, that wants me to have a release, that wants me to have a reward, that wants me to have something for me in all the giving that I do to the rest of the world. I'm going to lead that part to a positive outcome. I'm going to get those needs met, but this time it's different. I'm going to meet those needs proactively. So that the relationship with the addict part starts with one of deep shame, and results in a framework of self leadership, because that shame is healed.
Mr. Craig, as you helping men transform their addiction, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
So do you mean with the business, Daniel, or do you mean my personal goals?
Can we do both, Mr. Craig?
Yes, 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 yes. So, my personal goals and business goals are aligned in some way. I love doing what I do. This is such an exciting time for us. We've been working with men struggling with sex addiction and porn addiction for 13 years. And over those 13 years, no one's just struggling, or few people are just struggling with one thing. We realize we have a great model that helps with anger, shame, gambling, alcohol, like you name it, all these different addictions. And so we're in the process of opening up the mindful habit to men struggling with any form of compulsive behavior, which is really exciting to me, because one of the things that we've learned, Daniel, in that when you mention sex and porn, despite healthy sexuality is a challenge for just about everybody, there's so much shame around it. Nobody wants to talk about that at the Rotary Club meeting, or wants to talk about that when I'm at the Chamber of Commerce meeting. And so we're building this brand, this umbrella, for men that supports all their bad habits and compulsive behavior, in a brand that they can be proud that they associate with when they come to our retreats, or they participate in one of our programs. So that's really, really exciting for me, and opening that up to other men. So I'm really excited about that. On the professional level, on the personal level, it's full steam ahead for me. Continue to prioritize my mind, body, and spirit. And that's what I've learned about myself, Daniel. I have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADD, bipolar. I am certainly narcissistic ish. My therapist said my childhood trauma was the worst he'd ever seen. I don't believe that, but he said it. And so I've learned that I have to do this and feel this if I don't want to do that. And I've dedicated my life to that formula. And as long as I prioritize my mind, my body, my spirit, I'm going to continue on this path that I'm on. And it's the most rewarding one I could possibly imagine. I get to talk to great people like you, and share wisdom with people, and help people for a living, and serve them honestly and ethically. I live a blessed life, so I want more of that.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Craig, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you, advocating men from their sex addiction?
Yeah. You to do that, you have to make a choice to be vulnerable. And for some people, that's just not possible. They might have a job, they might work with kids, they might, and while like none of the issues I deal with have anything to do with that, it's a scary, scary, scary topic. But the good news is the internet gives you the opportunity to be anonymous, share your story. If we men are going to reclaim sanity from the insanity that we're living in now. We men are killing ourselves at a higher rate. We're burnt out in our jobs in a higher rate. We're unhappy in our marriages in a higher rate, have mental health issues. We're in the throes of what our Surgeon General here in the United States called a loneliness epidemic. We are losing ourselves. And the way to counter that is to connect. The opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. And men, if you don't have a circle, build a circle of men, of boards of directors that you have to be honest with, and they have to be honest with you. Lay that foundation, because until we start having honest conversations about what's really happening inside us and how ridiculously difficult this is, and how it feels like the chips are stacked against us, they are. We need each other. So that's the best advice I can give to someone who wants to start helping people, who wants to start helping themselves. Like, I do this for me. I get so much value helping others, and it feeds me. So yeah, put yourself out there and share. We are all struggling and we need more voices.
Indeed, and thank you for that empowering advice, Mr. Craig. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
The single book, Daniel, and this, I want you to have this perspective. I have worked with famous um, professional athletes, professional coaches, entertainment icons. Like, I've got an incredible client, gifted, talented clients. And the one book that I say changes most lives on a personal and professional level is One Small Step Can Change Your Life by Dr. Robert Morer. The subtitle of that book is called The Kaizen Way. And basically, this book is the art and science of setting ridiculously attainable goals. And the thing that makes this book so powerful, Daniel, is when you can't read it and not realize that you must incorporate these principles into your life. It is so, so, so powerful, and it's one of my favorite books that I've ever read.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Craig. And looking forward, what gives you the most hope about conversation about male mental health and addiction evolving?
What is so exciting, Daniel, is that our crisis has inspired more conversations. More men than ever are aware of terms like mental health, self leadership. More men are coming around to the reality that this behavior, this secret sexual behavior, is having an impact. And not just religious people, which is great, but secular men as well are saying, "Wait a minute, this is bad for me." So there's never as much shame as there has never been more conversation. Just this our conversation is evidence of that. And so that's the hope that I have, and that's the gift that this crisis gives us. Is we have to, prioritize our mental, physical, and spiritual health if we want to counter these forces that these billion-trillion-dollar entities that want our eyes and want our money. We have to fight. We have to fight hard, and we can only do it together.
Mr. Craig, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season, Abstract Poetry in second season, and my Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in its fourth season, and my Baby Podcast Law 101, and Mental Health 101 Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Craig, if a man's away only one thing from our conversation today, what is the first most crucial step he can take to begin his own transformation from a place of addiction to place of strength?
Yeah, the first step at that low point, at that moment of inflection, at that realization that I'm going on the wrong track, the first thing is to write down to the best of your ability what right track looks like. I have my clients right in the beginning, Daniel, is okay, you're here, you don't want to do this. Well, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And the sooner you can create that vision of where you want to go, the better that vision is, the clearer that vision is, the greater chance that you're going to be moving towards it. So at that low point, define what it is. Why do you want to stop? Why do you want a better life for yourself? Where's your fuel? Where's your fire? Find it and pursue it with everything in your power.
Mr. Greg Perra, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you. Yeah, visit mindfulhabithelp.com and check it out. If you need help, I got a podcast too. It's called Sex Afflictions and Porn Addictions. And if you need help, reach out. Thank you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Greg Perra because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering episodes of the podcast, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Craig, thank you so much for your time.
You are very welcome. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.